It's Ehizoje, everyone's favorite Nigerian.
This that real life shit, nigga.
Let's have some real talk. This isn't a political podcast, by the way, but we do talk about shit that affects our culture. And 2024 presidential election 100% is affecting our culture, especially with Biden dropping out a few weeks ago of the presidential race. Some will say he was forced out. I believe he was forced out by the Democratic Party because it was very obvious he was not going to win the election against Trump. He is not the man he was 4 years ago, which is okay. We all age. It happens. Sometimes you got to hang the jersey up. You feel me? But it's looking like Kamala Harris is going to be replacing him. She set a record in donations raised in 24 hours. I believe it was 81 mil or closer to 100 mil. I can't really remember, but obviously the D9 organizations are showing out, AKAs are showing out.
Fight.
All the women that care about politics are showing out currently. So how do you guys feel about a possible Kamala Trump presidential race?
It doesn't matter. I think no matter who we put up there against Trump, Trump is gonna win.
Like, you think so?
I think Trump is 3,000% gonna win, whether it's Biden or Vice President Harris or whoever. Like, I don't think there's anybody Trump is gonna like. Trump is as hot as he's ever been. You know what I mean? Like, I think last election, Trump kind of like barely lost. Like it was kind of close, but Biden caused a lot of separation. But it was a lot of all hands on deck as far as voter registration and voter advocacy. I remember Stacey Abrams did that voter advocacy and helped turn Georgia blue. And I think some of the swing states turned blue. I think people that would have voted for Trump are still going to vote for Trump now. I think some people, especially in swing states who maybe were on the fence about Trump and Biden, are swinging to Trump. And I think him surviving his assassination attempt helps. I think a lot of Americans are misinformed, like most Americans, like the average American, not like us, but like the average American is like a 54-year-old white man in Kentucky or some shit, right? Like
older Americans, yeah.
I feel like that's the average, like most of America is like a middle-aged white man in the middle of a bumfuck America.
I mean, even like people our age are pretty misinformed, especially about Kamala. Like just having conversations like over this past week with like certain people who just don't know about her policies and what she's actually done when she was in California.
Exactly.
So I would say just everybody. Yeah. Outside the Gen Z. Gen Z is very big on, like, they know their shit. Yeah. So shout out to Gen Z and the Zoomers.
And I've been seeing a lot of black people, unfortunately, like swaying towards the Trump, like this election cycle. So I just don't see how Trump is going to lose. And in the latest polls, Trump was up pretty significant.
So I was of similar thinking to you when Biden first like dropped out. I was like, this is way too late. Within like the campaign trail to like drop out, like no one else really has a chance. But it looks like, and obviously like social media is such a like microcosm to the actual real world that who knows. But I do think that Kamala might actually have a chance because Trump ended up picking his VP as a heterosexual white male who looks like it's sounding, a lot of his talking points is of bigotry and racism. So a lot of the people that were on the fence between Biden and Trump are now like, okay, Biden's out. At least now we have somebody that can actually be an actual president, which is Kamala Harris. So I do see a lot of people starting to swing more back to that left side.
Real quick,
Loren was about to say something.
My bad.
I was just gonna bounce off of how you think that he's gonna win. I also think he's gonna win. I think she has somewhat of a chance.
Yeah.
Just I heard this joke that was like, oh, if we put her in office, she's a black woman in office, we can skip over ever having a white woman president because we have a woman president who's also a woman of color. I'm saying the joke totally wrong, but anyways, I don't know, with how Reagan was his attempted assassination back in the 80s, his poll numbers shot up. So I think with that alone,
no pun intended.
That alone, I feel like she doesn't really have that good of a chance.
Yeah,
I think she has the best chance out of anybody on the planet to take down Trump. But Trump is just as hot as fish grease right now. I think she's the best chance.
Yeah,
though.
I think Trump was hot as fish grease like 2 weeks ago. And if you watch that episode, like we did a whole Trump breakdown, me and Andy were going back and forth, and we were just like, yo, we lost. Like it was really like, oh damn, we lost. But over the past week, no one's been hotter than Kamala Harris. Like, we barely even heard from Trump.
Well,
And
because they're putting memes about her on.
And it's also our algorithm. Like,
Well,
we're black people.
Well, true,
California.
but everybody's talking about Kamala, even the right, even Fox News. They're all talking about.
Yeah, of course.
They're talking about Kamala, and they're talking about the missteps that Trump has had since Kamala has been like appointed as the Democratic nominee. And so, especially if Trump decides, and he's going to eventually have to debate Kamala Harris because he's kind of in like a trick box right now, where it's all like, okay, I just again announced Vance as my VP, which is probably the worst thing he could have done. Because he's not a woman, he's not someone of color,
And he's an ex-Trump hater.
and he's an ex-Trump hater. And since he's been named VP, he's been embarrassing himself on live TV and on public speaking events. So I do
The whole
think
thing's a joke.
I do think that Kamala actually has a great chance, and I do think she'll probably be like a really good president too. So it would be good to see. It's a plus that she happens to be a black woman. So.
Did y'all see that video I retweeted a while ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, right after the assassination of like this quote unquote Christian prophet? Like,
Oh yeah.
he, like, for those who didn't see it or whatever, back in March of this year, I guess it was like some random unknown YouTube channel where they have like super religious head, like Christian prophets come on and tell the people what God said to them. And one of them back in March said that God came to him, I think in a dream, and said that somebody tried to make an attempt on Trump's life. And the bullet got so close it bursted his eardrum. And Trump, he said, this is what he said. He said Trump fell to his knees. And at that moment, Trump found like Trump is already quote unquote saved. But at this point, like Trump really found Jesus and like kind of like low-key got saved, but kept it inside a little bit. And then he had a flawless victory during the fall and like in the elections. And then he was in office at one point, and then he started to cry in the office. And then a little bit in the future in his presidency, America went through the worst economic crash in history, worse than the Great Depression. And then we bounced back from it somehow. And then after all the dust settles, America's going to be in a good place. But I think like the detail about like the bullet hit, like almost bursting his eardrum, that was like an insane like detail that he somehow like.
Here's the thing about those things. It's great that he called that. But there's like thousands of people on this earth that do predictions, and we only hear about them once they get one right.
You think it was a broken clock right twice a day type of situation?
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see about the rest of that. If that comes to fruition.
I'm not saying it's true or
The
not.
astrology girlies were talking that.
Well, yeah, astrology is also another one of those things where it's all like, I don't want to get into it, but yeah, sure. Yeah. All right.
We'll see how it plays out. I hope he's wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. If they debate, I could see, and some recent polls as recent as yesterday have shown them as close as like a 50-50 toss up, Harris versus Trump.
I guess.
And that's already, and Harris just got
Are y'all voting?
nominated. Of course. I wasn't gonna vote for the presidency, but now I am.
It's like, bro, Georgia's not turning red again. I'm sorry, Georgia's not turning blue again this year. Pennsylvania's not turning blue. I don't think any of the swing states are turning blue this year. I just don't see it. I
get what you're saying.
Like I don't see
the people there are really set in their ways.
Yeah, I think this go around.
No, they're like
you can kind of feel that Trump was going to lose last time. I'm feeling that Trump is going to win this time.
I felt that same way like 2 weeks ago, but Trump is so off-putting even to the right that there are Republicans that are already coming out and vouching for Kamala Harris. So
I guess he's thinking more on like a regular person who doesn't pay attention politically, who sees Trump as the quote unquote icon that they believe that he is.
I don't think regular people see Trump as an icon. I think the far right see Trump as an icon. A lot of regular Republicans.
That's what I'm talking about.
The regular Republicans that you would see is like, yo, this nigga's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, so
like,
he's, correct me if I'm wrong, he's thinking like when he says that they won't swing, because those people are the people that are clocked in but don't know anything, like not the far right, like the far right.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think a lot of the base that Trump would need was sitting on the fence and was leaning him only because he was going up against Biden, and Biden was making an ass of himself and the party for the past fucking year. But with somebody that's actually able to speak in public, I do think we're going to see a closer race at the very least. And
Yeah, I know that for
and
sure.
I wouldn't be shocked if she might end up smacking him, to be honest. At this point, just
I
because
hope you're right.
Just because it's like,
But I don't see it.
I would hate to see him in office again, but
yeah, I think Trump made a bad move with Vance. I think that's really where where things have like split. Where you could even see like the far right commentators are like, yo, why the fuck did he pick Vance? This is a bad look. Like, he's already out here talking about like women without children. And a lot of the far right base just happen to be women without children. And there are women commentators like Tommy Loren who's all like, hey, like, I'm trying to vote for Trump, but you're making it really hard.
Bruh, but the thing is, like, they can say whatever the fuck that goes against, like, America is so like divided as far as political parties. Like, motherfuckers are going to vote for Trump even if they disagree, just off the strength that they're a Republican. You get what I'm saying? Like they're gonna Tommy Loren is still gonna vote for Trump. Can come out here and say fuck Tommy Loren and her goofy ass fucking face, and she's still gonna vote for him.
I don't think she would.
I for sure think she would.
No, if he came out and fucked with her image, because that would fuck with her brand. She's not gonna vote for that nigga. She's gonna be like, all right, fuck this thing. He just ruined my career.
I think it's just so like back. I know we're trying to get too political, but like back in like the 70s, 80s, and even a bit of the 90s, motherfuckers hot parties like casually, like oh, I was a Democrat 1 year, now I'm a Republican. Now motherfuckers are so like anchored into their shit, and it's almost like a gang. It's almost like my side is better than your side instead of like what makes sense. I think like regardless of what makes sense or not, they're just gonna stay on their motherfucking side because they just feel like they too deep in. I don't know.
I guess from my point of view, you guys think you're either right or you're left, and then in my point of view, I think there's a lot more people in the middle than we think.
True.
So I mean, I guess that's where the difference is. Okay. Like stemming from.
I'll give you that. I feel like there's not that many people in the middle, and that there's a lot of people who are leaning right.
Yeah.
It's just because I even see it now, and I know we talk Gen Z is very progressive, 1,000%. But there's also the other side where they are repeating like old ideologies, leading back to Christianity, like old Christianity, like the 50s and shit. You know what? I can hear my stomach.
Don't worry, the mics aren't gonna pick it up.
Okay, because I heard it.
Don't get self-conscious. You got it.
Like, there's younger kids who are also really far right, which throws me. I don't understand, because I thought, again, Gen Z super progressive, but there's some people who are just like, no, like, I want to live this way.
Yeah, I do think that there are people in Gen Z who are far right, but that's probably gonna be like less than 5% of them. I think a lot of them are like, even if they don't agree with like the left and they're like right leaning, I think they're very obvious like Trump's a fucking idiot, like what the fuck is going on type shit. Because you have to understand, Gen Z grew up with the internet, right? Like, they're probably gonna be the most well versed of all generations until Generation Alpha is eventually able to vote and things of that nature. And like, with that comes being able to think for yourself at an early age, right? And I think they're able to just make smart decisions, common sense decisions that a lot of older people just didn't have those skills like growing up. So
I hope so. I have a lot of faith in Gen Z for sure.
So we shall see.